You alright?
Yeah.
Or you want to up or leave it down?
Sorry.
You want to roll the window up? I can open the moonroof. So you got something in your throat. Drink something. Hey everybody, how's it going? Everybody's getting off from work. I always, it's gonna be too loud for the live now. I do that. This should get you some air. Drink some more.
I'm turning.
I'll get a tea. Okay. Is that good? It's not on yet? Let me hit it again.
You're out of power already.
I'm sorry, shut the door. The car's off, technically. Is it charging?
Yeah.
Sorry, the door is getting on my nerves. Charging his phone. Hey everyone, how's it going? How's your week so far? I just wanted to go live because I get so frustrated with things being non-communicative, where it seems like there's no communication or very little communication, yet I'm always talking. And you know, when someone puts their hand over your mouth, that's another I should say that's a euphemism for the R word, you know what I mean? And the fact that African American women have been assaulted and ignored, have been harassed and ignored. There's a black femicide, everything under the sun. So it's frustrating when you say things and people pretend like you're not saying them. I hope you guys can hear me because this is a busy street that I'm on. I'm picking up my daughter, and it's just, let's just say some men overcompensating, you know what I mean? A lot in this area, and they run V8s and all kinds of motorcycles and torques, and it's just like unnecessary nonsense. But they believe themselves to be impressive, so let them continue to think that. But the thing is, though, what irks my nerves so badly is when people believe they're being cute around you by being sneaky, and that gives them some sense of power. And don't get me wrong, we're in the age of black magic, and a lot of people that you see in the entertainment industry really aren't that good. What they are good at, though, is covering up their origins and their real intentions as far as in the music industry. And a lot of these people are tied to straight criminal organizations, or they've been duped into committing crimes and, you know, doing something they feel that might be embarrassing. So they feel like if they participate further in whatever evil that they have to participate in to keep a contract or keep money in their pockets or to stay out of jail, then that's going to in some way, you know, perpetuate this lie that they're putting forth. And I find that a lot. I find that it's just the same old story. Every time you turn around, it's always someone perpetuating another fantasy version of themselves, even in real life, to the point where they start pretending out loud. You know, they go places, they do things, they instigate things. It's almost like, you know, you go somewhere and it's just like, it's unheard of, the amount of immaturity. And I swear it's not because I'm getting older, but in the new generation, they're just so rude and so disrespectful. But I know that it's not something that is all the younger people. It's someone who's instigating. And see, for people like myself who've been through this before, it's never been quite this bad. I've never seen ignorance on another level, right? I've never seen grown people participate in things such as this. Only annoying teens or people who are really, really like outcast nerds and geeks that want some attention. And, you know, those are the kind of people you stay away from. For instance, if you have some guy who keeps harassing you, or some guy who looks at you funny, and you say, like, what are you looking at? But he continues to look at you, or, just weirdos. It's a creepy type thing. But the thing is, to play on someone's insecurity, it's not at all hard to do. It's the same pattern. Whatever your insecurities are, if you're insecure about your skin tone, right? Whatever that might be. If you're dark skinned, right? And we all know, because we witnessed it, the Black Panther trope. And I don't care if people get angry with me saying that. Excuse me. You should know by now that I have allergies. That is pretty loud. So let me sit back and get that. I just turned on the vent. You should know by now that I tell the truth, and I'm very upfront with what I do, which is why it's so frustrating being this type of person that I am, and having someone almost, it would seem, lie on my name. That's what it feels like someone saying you're immature, but you're not immature. And what's most disturbing, I think, in a lot of different cases, never helps, is the fact that they try to rely on the old tropes. Your self-esteem as far as your skin color, associating it with not oppression, but always an antithesis to whatever the narrative is. They can always find you and use you as a tool to promote ignorance towards someone else. And by a trope, I mean going into an area where they don't have much diversity, and you being maybe the lightest thing they've ever seen, or perhaps a skin color they've not seen before, and having an adverse reaction from the stereotypical black folk. Ergo, North Carolina, right? Pick any city in North Carolina that you want. I swear. Anyone. And they're all going to look at you like, if you look like me. I swear. I don't want to dog North Carolina, because it's a lot of other states that have problems with, and I've said this before, de facto segregation. We aren't doing de jure segregation anymore. We're doing de facto, where we're self-segregating for several different purposes. But understand that legacy of segregation from the past has not changed in many, many different areas. People just don't know, right? They don't know about the diversity in other areas. They just assume that all the areas are like them, except for maybe like one or two, instead of it being the opposite, right? Because you don't want to live somewhere and you're the strangest thing that they've ever seen because they've never been anywhere. No one wants to live anywhere like that. It does happen if you move overseas, if you go to Japan, if you go to Europe, you can expect that pushback. Because again, they're segregated according to whatever admixture they had in that particular area, right? So you're going to expect that. What's surprising is if you don't get it, when people are mature, when they are intelligent. But when it's a trope, it's just right on the money. It's the most stereotypical behavior you could ever have in your entire life. I swear, if you cannot stop judging people by the way they look and not by the content of their character, and I'm not trying to be facetious either by using Martin Luther King. I'm talking seriously. If you seriously didn't learn in kindergarten or by first grade that you need to know someone without looking at their skin color, something's wrong with you. And you're an adult and you're walking around, and I swear, I'm talking about 50 and 60-year-olds still shocked to see a different skin color other than their own. This is the trope. This is the Black Panther BS. You don't counter racism with other racism. As a matter of fact, that's actually reverse racism. And reverse racism is a reaction. But not only is it a reaction, it's a negative reaction, but it's a projection. Because they could have left it at, okay, we want to have more darker skinned people in movies, but they could have integrated it properly. But instead, they fed right into white supremacy and decided we're going to do something negative and project this on to lighter skinned audiences. Wasn't that just what white supremacists wanted? Whenever I see internalized depression like that, it makes me so angry. You cannot imagine from the time I was 5 or 6, before I had any high school education, much less college, it was always my pet peeve. And because my mother's dark skinned, I don't know if I noticed it. It just maybe wasn't there, because the area we're in, or excuse me, that we grew up in, it was shameful to be low-level education. I mean, there were areas, sure, you could find, but it was the worst thing you could ever do to have education levels that low. To think I'm going to discriminate against someone because of a skin tone in any way, shape, or form. I mean, it's not like we were all uniform or we were Pan-Africanists. We were Pan-Africanists back in the day, but it wasn't necessarily the reason why. The reason why was because it showed that you were uneducated. You hadn't been anywhere. Everything confused you. Everything scared you. Everything you had an adverse reaction to, and you internalized and then projected. That's a no-no. For us, and this is the con, right? The thing at the beginning of Cynthia G's video she's playing, what did she say? The biggest trick that black men play on black women is knowing they can only date them. So they can con you up and down the street. I've seen so many women internalize misogyny because they think they don't have any other options. The biggest con they're telling you about this dark skin oppression and light skin privilege is, it's not always like that. And light skinned people aren't anywhere near responsible. It's just white supremacy. You can't blame alternate factors and then praise the factor, such as the one in the movie, the white guy, and then have very little diversity, which backs up exactly what they wanted. They're basically just pitting you against one another and saying, I like this token black versus this token black. Oh, I don't like this dark skinned token black, or I do like this dark skinned token black, rather, because he or she does exactly what I want, just like a puppy. There you go. Here, Fido. But this wild one over here, this light skinned, caramel skin, whoever she thinks she is, I don't know if she Asian, she Native American, she light skinned, you know what that means. How many men her parents slept with, how many races that all these light skinned people have been through. They could be any race. The misogynistic, the sexist, the racist connotations to all of those things. You think that lighter skinned people haven't been through that? The horror of being set on fire because of your lighter skin, because you have red in your skin. I've said it a million times. Every generation should be remembering this. I should not be repeating this more than once. The stupidity of white supremacy keeps promoting ignorance over promoting truth. If you want to believe there's a such thing as light skin privilege, you go right ahead. If you want to believe that dark skinned people are so oppressed, instead of them actually helping dark skinned people to feel better and using them as a cudgel. Yeah, come on, dark skinned people. Come on now. Let's do a movie with just you. We'll make you feel better. You can blame those mean light skinned people. We'll show them. Plus those new Hispanic people coming in who are the real colors. And the biracial people that you're afraid of. It'll work out. Because they'll just suck it up. In the light skinned communities. That's a bunch of straight bull. You can believe anything you want, but the truth will always set you free. The truth is, you're cowards. You did the wrong thing, and every time you do something that's demonic, it lets in another demonic entity. I do really believe that. And before, I didn't think it was possible. I mean, for some people who are spiritually inclined, it's still not possible. Don't get me wrong. Ain't no demons gonna be bothering me. They might try to annoy some people, but they're not going to be able to get to my spirit. But a lot of these people that are participating in things like this, they are not spiritually right. And we always automatically thought they had mental health issues. Why would you blame anyone based upon a skin color or something trivial? Why would you make a racist overgeneralization and do the same thing that white people had done to you? Why? Why? Because you're internalizing. And that's ridiculous. You're too old to be treated like children. And you don't need to have a degree in sociology like I do. You just need to use common sense. I told you since I was a child. It's common sense. Everyone thought people like that were very, very dumb. Therefore, the embarrassment on my face. I don't care how good the movie was. Of course it's going to have good writing because it's Marvel. They're going to be able to hire some people, or you're going to perceive it as being good because you want it to be good. Perception is everything. But it's not going to make it right. Ain't nothing going to make that right. It's still wrong. And it's still an embarrassment to the black community to show people who are nasty and mean like that. That's nasty. Do you think that if I were a child and I was forced to go see that with my dark-skinned mother, I have a couple of dark-skinned cousins, you think I'm going to sit down there and pretend like I liked it? Or that would be abusive? It's a con, right? You have to start understanding that whether it's political, what's going on in the White House, what's going on the street, there's a lot of con men and a lot of conning and a lot of con games going on, right? You have to be savvy. You have to be smart. You have to understand not to react to every little thing, not to believe every little thing, and to do your own research. I've seen so much revitalization of when I was a child in the 80s. And I mean, I was a young child in the 80s. It's ridiculous. And all the things that we stopped because they were harmful towards children, I now see the children getting that message from somewhere. It must have been the generation before mine, because my generation knew better. Or those people that never left certain areas, you know what I mean? And then went out and spread negativity. We all wish we could live somewhere where we could spread love instead of hate. But I'm telling you, the one thing that we all manage to forget is that if people are more smart than you have too much pride, and people will manipulate you. I've seen this a million times in the African American community in particular. People are manipulative. They will use you because they can do it based upon your insecurity level. What type of plane is that? It's like I'm home in VA. These planes, I'm quite sure they don't have a huge Navy. I don't know what type of plane that is. Yeah, we here, for those of you guys who have ever been to Hampton Roads, you'll hear the Navy flying constantly. Especially the closer you get to the air base, or one of the bases anyway. Because there's a few. But yeah. It's demonic in nature. And that's what concerns me, the cycle, the cyclic, just movement of it, how it's the same exact thing. It cannot be a coincidence. The only thing that has not changed is the way they can manipulate your intelligence level based upon your self-esteem and your education levels, and that's sad. What that means is they're, and this is a sociological term, I've said this a million times, they're dumbing down the school systems. Now, the problem is, we all knew this was going to happen. Anybody who has a degree in sociology knew that this was going to happen. As textbook. And that's another scary thing. Everything you do is textbook. We know it's going to happen because they said it 15 years ago. Everything that's happening right now, we saw coming, but I don't think anyone saw it to this extreme. And the problematic persecution of certain individuals who stand up for the rights of all. You're just not getting it. They want to know psychologically, and it helps that I have a degree in psychology, a master's, but you don't need one. They want to know what's in your brain so they can manipulate it. The one thing they do know, especially in the black community, is insecurity. And I hate to see it, but we aren't all the same in the black community. Some of us don't have the same quality of education. Some of us don't have somebody, around us to say, hey, don't do that. That's wrong. That's disrespectful. That's demeaning. That's demeaning to our intellectual level, right? And we need that. And I am shocked, honestly, even me, at how many people didn't get what we call the basics. I'm shocked how easy it is to manipulate this generation. They have to be going along with it for a reason. And you will see, as many have noted, all of a sudden this generation has wealth. Now, of course, mind you, me growing up, we had the internet right when I graduated high school. So in 1992, they had the ARPANET. It wasn't even the internet. So it tells you something. Technology is propelling the majority of this, which is obvious, from influencer culture to coding to everything else. So they're getting more opportunities, but they're not necessarily as bright. And what I'm finding, I mean, it's no offense, it's just they have their tokens. They always have and they always will. And this is what this is about, token culture. And that includes the dark skin privilege and all of this and all of that. And then I say dark skin privilege. That includes the light skin privilege, accusations, and really honestly, that's why I said it's a Freudian slip, giving darker skin individuals privileges over other. Now, I've explained many a time the awkwardness of having a dark skinned mother and having someone insinuate that I had privilege because I was lighter skinned. These are things that people don't think about, or at least they think we won't say the quiet part out loud because they're going to keep pushing narratives that are obviously fake and false, and they don't anticipate someone such as myself to say something. But I hate to tell you, I will not let you be abusive to future generations of lighter skinned children. If you're aiming at the multiracial culture that's coming through, and trust me, there's a lot more than what you think, and you won't be able to tell what race any of these cultures are because every generation is becoming lighter, and it has nothing to do with the lighter skinned people that were already here. Honestly, what I think is they would like to have the ones they can dumb down, the younger ones that don't do anything but pretty much model white privilege. Those are the ones they want, even though they might be Asian, even though they might be dark skinned, even though they might be whatever, they want them to model white privilege. And a lot of this acclamation of gentrified cultures that we see within darker skinned individuals is much the same. Right? I don't buy gentrification. So you had more than what someone else had. A number of people my age have worked, they've gone to school, they've done all the right things, but they haven't necessarily reaped all of the benefits because we didn't, like time-wise, have the same timeline. And plus, you know, in my personal situation, there's the sad history of harassment, sexual harassment, you know, and just idiotic white supremacy, which masks itself in a myriad of different ways. And this is what the young people don't get. They think they see a dark-skinned person, they think they see this person or that person can't be racist or manipulated into being racist because they're jealous. Yes, black folk can be racist. They can also be prejudiced. They can also be incredibly simple-minded and internalize racism just because either they don't know any better, which I'm not buying. Just like some people say, oh, I don't buy like skin. I don't even pay them any mind as far as, well, you better start paying us attention because we ain't going no damn where. Number one, when you're talking about what you want to pay attention to, this is not a fantasy world. And I think that sometimes it's hard for people to grow up. I just, in my mind, I imagine, because my mother was already quite abusive. Not physically, but verbally. Constant verbalization of things that tried to, in some way, affect my self-esteem, but never did. Right? Other people got validation for things they did. I never got any validation. Unless it pertained to her. Now, some of that, growing up, you could say, oh, didn't you see that she was a colorist and she didn't like lighter-skinned kids? Why would you have a child and be jealous of it? I did think about some of that as a kid, like, why is she acting like she's jealous of me? But then you see, before we go into any conversation about colorism, all I'm looking at is the jealousy factor. And I'm looking for a reason why. My sister's lighter skinned than I am, right? Because I have a tan most of the time now. I was lighter in high school than I am now because, yes, we get darker too. But my sister is consistently lighter than I am. And she favorites her all the time. But, because my sister kisses her ass, that's why. But, she used my language, but it's true. So, you know, I'm like, can't be skin color. Maybe she just doesn't like something else. My sister has Indian in her, so do I. Both BIPOC. Maybe it's something else. Whatever it is, I don't care what it is. Because my self-esteem levels won't let me internalize that. What gets me upset is when there's a lot of people who are jealous and then I'm looking for someone to